I just did a dollar store makeover video followed by a squishy makeover video, and today I'll be combining them both. Basically a dollar store makeover, but a squishy makeover edition. Hopefully that made sense. I showed these double-chinned squishies in my last dollar store makeover video, and a lot of you guys wanted to see what I could do with them. I wasn't planning on doing them so soon, but while I was staring at their creepy faces, some inspiration struck me. And I'm just too impatient to wait, so here we are. I've tried human squishies before, like a year ago, but they were so tragic that I just kinda completely gave up on them.
It looks like the kind of person who would install a screen door on a submarine. Okay, so this doesn't really look like Mariah at all, but I tried. Oh well. So I chose to turn this repulsively adorable penguin into Nerdy Crafter because my girlfriend said it looked like a human.
It kind of looks like a human, like a little, from a certain angle.
That's the last time I'm taking her advice. Jackie has always been super nice and supportive always, so I wanted to do something special for her.
You don't want to watch those train wrecks. The thing is, I wasn't working with an actual human squishy. I was always trying to turn an animal into a human.
Hey, it's me.
That was a bad idea. I don't know what I was thinking, but I have high hopes for today. I'll be turning these double-chinned nursery rhyme humans into some hardcore, edgy humans.
So we've got Peter Pan, Little Red Riding Hood, and
Hoi,
King
I'm
Edward.
King Edward.
Hoi, I'm King Edward. I don't actually know who King Edward is, that's just the vibe I get from him. Oh, and also Little Red Riding Hood's yellow poop, who you guys may remember. These dollar store squishies are surprisingly very soft, especially Little Red Riding Hood and Peter Pan. Dollar Tree really outdid themselves this time. We'll be starting off with Little Red Riding Hood. After that giant yellow poop she made, she's clearly in dire need of seeing a doctor immediately. And who's a better doctor than me? Sanding Block, the dermatologist. That's who. So of course he stepped in to scrub away a few of those extra chins. Didn't help too much. You can't just scrub away ugly. It's fine though. You can just drown it in paint. So that's exactly what I did. I slathered on a million layers of white slick paint just to cover up whatever she's got going on. Then King Edward stopped by to say hello.
I'm King Edward. Hoi, I'm King Edward.
Sanding Block thought he could use a few exfoliation sessions as well. Anyone who wears that kind of outfit is clearly crying out for help. I then decided to take away his crown.
Excuse me. That belongs to Mariah.
My squishy makeovers are always inspired by the squishy queen, Mariah Elizabeth. And now King Edward is balding, so I just covered up everything in white slick paint again. I forgot to fix his head. The guillotine was a bit rusty that day, so I hot glued poor King Edward's wounds closed. There. Nobody has to know. Peter Pan decided now was a good time to fly in. He really wanted to stay young forever, so he came in for a session as well. Went through the same procedure as the other two. Sanding and then drowning in white paint. That'll take a few years off you for sure. I sanded and painted the poop as well. I thought I could maybe make it look somewhat more appealing than this. I don't really have any ideas though. Still in the thinking phase with that one. We'll come back to it. I like making evil squishies. To be honest, once they were all painted white, they already looked scary enough. They had this haunting vibe about them. I can't explain it. I thought it would be cool to make them all into little edgy punks, so I started off by giving the girl a puffy pink tutu. There's just something about tutus. They give off a very menacing vibe in my opinion, and since Red Riding Hood has that whole hood thing going on, I'm just going to stick with that, but instead turn it into a hoodie. So this edgy girl is going to be wearing a black hoodie to go along with her pink tutu. I mixed up a very light peachy color for her skin. It was only meant to be for her, but I made so much of the color that I ended up using it for all three since I wasn't about to waste it. So they all ended up being pretty pale, sufficient to say they don't go out much. I wanted to give her some kind of leggings or something, but her legs are kind of short, so I figured I'd just leave them as is. I even thought about leaving her barefoot since I already painted her feet the peachy color, but ultimately I decided to cover up her feet stumps instead. Nobody wants to see that. At this point, she looks a bit bald, joining King Edward in the What Happened to My Hair Club. No need to cry anymore though, I'll be fixing that. I originally intended on her having black hair, but then I realized it might blend in with her hoodies, so I'm giving her purple hair instead. I'm painting it on straight out of the bottle since I wanted it to add some dimension to it. Also, it helped me give her some big swoopy bangs, better fitting her new look. After a night of drying, I came back to start adding the details to her. I was going to do a checkered pattern on her tutu, but I'm saving that for King Edward. Stripes will do just fine for her. She also has a little chain accessory hanging over her tutu. Her hoodie was looking a bit plain, so I added a pink bear to it. I kept it very simple, mostly because it's so tiny. I then sketched out her face with pencil. She has a very bored, blah kind of expression, accompanied by her droopy black eyeliner.
Gesundheit.
I also added a little black dot. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's supposed to be a mole. I just thought it would add some character to her, not sure if it did. I gave her a purple eye to go with her hair. Obviously this is a made-up character, so she can have whatever eye color she wants. Alright, moving on. Oh man. Here comes Prince George. Wow. He has a very specific outfit on. It's very regal and outdated looking, a hard shape to work with. It took me a bit to come up with how to change his look. I ended up going with a short sleeve tuxedo type thing. Ever since my tuxedo cat showed up at my door, I've been a little obsessed with tuxedos. I don't really mean to be, it's just all I can think about lately. I think I'm in love. He's wearing some black shoes. In fact, they're all wearing black shoes. I really outdid myself with these ones. I just wanted them all to go together, and I feel like they're the kind of people who would wear black shoes.
If you're new here and you've ever worn black shoes before, you should consider selling your soul to me by subscribing to my channel and ringing that bell thing so you don't lose me on the internet. I post new videos every Friday.
Now I'm just layering on the skin tone I mixed up. I used to question whether a white base coat really helps or not. It takes a really long time to paint these squishies white. Lately I've been thinking the white base coat does help. I think it does. He also has a pop of color in his hair. I decided to make it a bright red, like fire engine red. He's not a true redhead, it's a dye job. Or maybe it's a wig to cover that bald spot. We'll never know. Your guess is as good as mine. I also added some swoopy layers to him as well, just to extend his receding hairline a bit. His pants are going to have a crazy checkered pattern on them. He works the racetracks. You may or may not see him in a bikini on the finish line. I used Posca to sketch out the checkered pattern, and then I go over it later with slick paint and it prevents it from cracking. I also added some buttons on his white shirt. His arms look a bit bare, so I decided to give him a little black watch. I wanted to give all of them a very cartoony look. In my opinion, he ended up looking the most like a South Park character, which I'm fine with. He has a straight face. He doesn't look very amused. Maybe it's the bushy red unibrow that's putting him in a bad mood. Must be hard to see under all that. Now we're on to Peter Pan. I mixed up a gray for his shirt. I wanted to give him one of those shirts that has different colored sleeves, so I painted on some black sleeves. He's also got some black pants to match. He doesn't have any checkered craziness or striped tutus going on. Just some plain black jeans. I'm turning this little elf hat into a black beanie. He stole it from the Grumpy Sloth. Not sure he'll be too happy about that. My squishies do tend to look a bit shiny. That's because I use mostly slick paint, which is shiny. I just kinda prefer the look of it, and plus the matte paint always ends up making things look very textured for me, so I'm not really a fan. No crazy hair color on this one. He's just a blonde dude doing blonde dude stuff. The doily around his neck just didn't fit his vibe, so I needed to get rid of it. The thing is, the doily is kinda raised, so it's not the easiest thing to cover up, but I just kinda reshaped it with some slick paint and turned it into a bandana. That's why he's wearing a blinding green bandana around his neck, in case you were wondering. I gave him some wristbands as an accessory to make up for the bandana. He also got one of those really cool spiky belts. His shirt looked a bit plain. I wanted to add something to it. I decided to paint on Gur from Invader Zim. I'm a huge fan of Jonan Vasquez, and you guys can probably tell he's a big influence on my art style. I just love his work, and I thought Gur would be perfect for this guy's shirt. He's going a bit heavy on the eyeliner today. I should point out the other two squishies are just kinda
Blah.
whatever. But this blonde dude actually seems happy. Hee. So that's a plus. I wanted him to have blue eyes, but I made them a little too light, and he looked a bit demonic there for a second. I went in with a darker blue, and I thought that brought the demonicness down a notch.
No, it didn't.
I finished up Gur's googly eyes, and then I just did some touch-ups here and there. Although I got started on the sanding and painting the base coat part of the yellow poop, I never actually got to complete its transformation. Plus, the 3 human squishies took a lot longer than I expected, so I'll be saving this poop for later again. Stay tuned for the poop. I'm pretty happy with how all 3 of the squishies came out. In my opinion, they all pull off the edgy look. They look like a group of best buds making memories. Hermione, Ron, and Harold.
Wingardium Leviosa! Lift that finger and click on the top right or bottom left, or else Harold's gonna beat you up with his mascara wand.
Hee.